Guys, welcome back. So we've got another off-grid setup that we're gonna do. Today, we are out in Concordia. Bit of a rundown. The customers purchased this property and there's all these little off-grid setups spread out throughout all these sheds. Basically, the plan is on this job, we're gonna consolidate all these little systems, get rid of them, rerun all the cabling to each shed, install one big elite system, show that we're the best. Let's get into it. This is one of them, so I'll show you through it, what he's got. Old owner was just running off a couple of these little old lithium Solar King batteries. You know, not really what you want, but it's done the job so far, some 12-volt batteries. And we've got a 12 to 240-volt power inverter here. So that's running basically the house and this shed. He's done something half alright. He's used some Victron stuff here. So we've got the servo, which we're gonna reuse. We've got the GX Touch 50 up here that we're gonna reuse. But we're gonna get rid of these old, smaller MPPTs because we've got one big 450-200 going in up the top shed. So this is one of them. So you can see that it's kind of been jerry-rigged together and you can sort of see what the difference is between a DIY setup and our setup. We'll go up the top, we'll show you the setup up there. So the idea is the boys are chucking up another 13 kilowatts on this other little shed. Our first shed's all the way down there. You can see we've got the new shed up here. We've got a trench across from that shed there. We're coming across to the house over here. We're gonna get some new cabling in. In this bed here, we've got another little setup that we're gonna sort of get rid of, and the customer's been running it with this one Trina 330-watt panel for ages. He's got the one panel outside. He's got a Renogy 3000-watt, 12-volt to 240-volt inverter, and the old fella's just jerry-rigged all this together with extension leads. One little MPPT, a couple of AGMs running this setup. So we're gonna get rid of those. We've got some Pylontech US5000Bs going in. Should be a cracker setup. Let's get it done. So we're on to day 2 today. So the boys have got all the panels up on the roof, so that's rocking and rolling. We've got our boards mounted, our battery cabinet all done, so that's all in place. And we've got our MultiPlus and our MPPT mounted as well. We're gonna take you through today. All today is gonna be about wiring, mounting the batteries in, and we'll walk you through each piece of equipment and the importance of it. Let's get stuck into it. Now we're on to mounting the batteries in the cabinet. So we've drilled our hole, got that all ready to go to our Lynx power in. A lot of people don't really know how to mount their Pylontechs into like a standard cabinet. So we've got these cool little brackets that are from Battery Works Australia. It's basically just like an L bracket that'll slot into the channels within your RU cabinet. So these just go in with these little tabs. We sit them in there and then we can slide the battery straight in. These are US5000Bs. So they've got a little circuit breaker here. They're a 5 kilowatt hour battery and 4.8 kilowatt hours usable. What I like about them is they are a managed battery. So what managed means is it has a little comms cable that links together to keep everything safe. And then what we do is we link the batteries, can talk to the servo, which then shows us the state of charge. It lets the Victron inverter charger do its thing and make sure it's topped up right and everything's safe. You can get unmanaged batteries and link them up to Victron gear, but we like to stick to the Pylontechs because they work really well. That's the battery cabinet, really cool. Oh, can't wait to fire this one up. We'll show you how we fire that up later on. So now we're on to wiring from our battery cabinet to each isolator. So we're gonna start with the MultiPlus 10 first. So we've got 315 amp isolator there. Probably one of the biggest and most important things with off-grid systems is making sure that your cables are the same length. For this install, we need two 50mm cables for the positive and the negative. The reason that we want all these cables the same length is both the positive and negative need to be of equal resistance. So bit of Ohm's law, if you've got different resistances, you know, the batteries can pull current at different rates through the positive and negative poles. We want to get these as close to the same length as possible. So that's why we've got it all measured out. So don't forget that one. That's the hottest tip I can give you for off-grid systems and any battery systems. We we got up to finishing up the battery cabinet and all of our larger sort of DC runs. We finished wiring the MultiPlus battery cables. So we've run 2 pairs of positive and negative 50mm flexes to that, as well as to the MPPT. We ran a pair of 50mm flexes just to that. So we've 1 pair to the MPPT and we had 2 pairs to the MultiPlus. So we've run all that. We've run that all back into the battery cabinet and tidied the battery cabinet up. In here, we've put our Lynx power in. So this is just like one big bus bar that takes all the power from the batteries, all the power from the MPPT, and all the power from the MultiPlus into one big DC distribution. So this is what will distribute the power in and out from the battery stack. That's awesome. The plan for today is we're gonna finish our DC from the roof. So we've got all the panels coming into the isolators there. We'll finish off the MPPT and we'll finish off the MultiPlus AC cabling and we'll start on the AC distribution. So we've got a big day ahead of us. Let's get into it.
Bam, bam, she wanna flick for the gram. Plus her baby stopping who I am, so she wanna do it all on cam like.
So we finished the AC and the DC distribution. So I'll run you through it because we're nearly at the finish line. So we finished up the DC and AC connections in our MultiPlus. So we've got dual 50mm flexes coming in from our DC isolator here, which is coming from our DC distribution. And we've done our AC here. So this is a MultiPlus 10. We've got a couple of 16mm coming in and out of this, which is good. Over here, we finished up the roof. And so we finished up doing DC isolators. So we use a nice Legrand or similar IP rated enclosure. We use some of the NoArc DC isolators, circuit breakers. Really good 4-pole. So we've got 4 trackers, so 4 MPPTs on this big RS 450-200 controller. We've got 4 circuit breakers to accommodate for the MPPT. So this can take about 15 kilowatts of solar in for maximum charging. Under that, we have the AC switchboard. In here, we have a few circuit breakers for the MultiPlus. So out of that, we've got a circuit breaker for the generator input. We've got a changeover switch as well. The changeover switch is really important. If the MultiPlus dies, we've built in some redundancy where we can change over the supplier so the house and the property can run solely on generator. So really important that we do this in our off-grid setups because sometimes we can't get there straight away. So we build the redundancy in. Moving on from that, we have our main isolator. We've got our supplier to our house, and then we've got just a little DIN mount GPO with a Hager RCBO. So good safety switch there. So we always use Hager, except for the changeover switch. We've got a NoArc, just a bit smaller, higher amps, good bit of kit. Under that, we have mounted our touch controller. So we've got a GX Touch 50, and behind that, we've got the Serbo GX. So that's the brains. That'll give us all of our monitoring, get us all our data from the batteries, from the MPPT, from the MultiPlus, fed all back to a nice little screen so we can just build it in, look at everything really well. So once we're finished and once we've powered it up, we'll show you what that looks like and we'll show you everything once it's all finished and closed up. So that's pretty much where we've got to. So let's crack on. We're gonna run the generator cabling now. Let's get into it. So this is the gen set. The client already had this. This is a 3-phase generator. Nonetheless, we have hooked it up anyway. We thought we'd show that we can integrate this. So being that it's a 3-phase gen set doesn't really integrate well with our single-phase sort of setup. It was already here when the customer bought this property, so we're gonna use it, and we've already spoke today about how we're gonna change this out. It does have auto start capability. We like to always stick with good brands, so we didn't supply this one, but it is a good brand anyway. Kubotas, Jimenez's, anything with a Yanmar engine is pretty good. This is a 14 kVA 3-phase, so it's not quite enough for our setup. If it was 13-ish kVA single phase, it would be great. But like I said, it's good to show you this, nonetheless, that we do try our best to build these in where we can, and we will sort of stick a bit of a solar panel or some charging for the battery inside so it does start up. Probably one of the most important things, just one of these, just keep note if you do have an off-grid setup. These little screens, they use quite a bit of power. So this is where we've got our auto, or we can just manually start it up. These screens use so much power that over the span of a week or so, it'll actually drain the battery, so the auto start won't work. Really important for this install, where it's sort of sitting, we're outside in good sun, we can get a little trickle charger solar panel, or we like to build in a Victron IP rated battery charger, just a maintenance charger. Keeps it going, just in case you need to auto start the Jenny, because remember the MultiPlus with the Serbo can auto start this when the batteries get low. So we do still set that up, but just keep in mind these use a bit of power, so make sure you've got some backup charging happening. So that's the Jenny. Nothing crazy, but good to show you anyway. All right guys, so wrapping up, like I said, we've got the MultiPlus 2. So this is a 48 volt, 10 kVA inverter charger. This unit here, it's able to take power from our battery stack, provide 10 kVA of output power to our loads, to the house, to the shed, throughout the whole property. It's not a huge property, not a huge demand here, so 10 kVA is good. They do make another size up to the 15 kVAs, and then we go down from there, from the 10. So this is a good mid-range unit. This can accept one AC input. So if you've got a generator, AC input from the gen set, that'll convert it back down to a 48 volt supply to charge our stack of batteries. Really robust, good unit, has a really high surge rating because it's got a transformer inside. Love these things. This is the main component of an off-grid system, especially with the Victron one. Now, what we're doing to charge our setup is we're doing some DC coupling. For this unit, we've got a 450-200, 200 amp output, and we've got 4 MPPTs. We're only using 3 at the moment. We've got about 30 panels on the roof. We've got 1 MPPT free. The boys are gonna fill that up later on. However, this will put out quite a bit of power, 200 amps of charge to our battery stack. That's what we call DC coupling. So we take power in from our solar panels. It gets stepped down from a high voltage to a low 48 volt, charge our massive stack of Pylontechs down here. This is just a standard because this doesn't have any DC circuit breakers or DC isolation. We just use these no-arc DC isolators. That's there, keeps it nice and neat. What we have to sort of see how the system's doing is we, like on every Victron system, we integrate a Servo GX control into it. So we've got the GX Touch 50, so the smaller unit with a Servo GX behind the enclosure. This keeps it super neat. We can see PV charge coming in. So we are at about 97%. So we can sort of see, because we have a managed battery with the Pylontechs, we can see through comm where the batteries are at. So we're at 97% here, and it's accepting 1.5 kilowatts. We can see the loads throughout the property is quite low. There's no one here at the moment. Only 147 watts of power, and then we can see how much power is coming from our MPPT being converted to our battery stack. This is really good, and then in this top left-hand corner, we'll see a gen input when we turn that on. So it's really good to be able to get some control and sort of see how everything's working. We can link this up, like we always do, to the VRM portal, so we're able to control system's doing. When we come back out here to put these extra panels on, the client's going to get a 4G dongle for us. We'll hook that up to the Telstra network, and then we'll be able to sort of integrate that into the VRM portal. The VRM portal is probably the best on market for monitoring with off-grid systems. It gives us a lot of control and gives us a lot of insight as to how the system's working. We like to do that on every install. And then we just built out a little switchboard here for our client. As I've already mentioned to you before, we've got our circuit breakers. We like to use Hagar where we can, and we've got our changeover switch for a bit of redundancy. One last look at the big stack here. So once again, with all our installs, we like to tee up our Pylontech US5000Bs. Really reliable. We used them on so many installs like you've seen in our previous videos. I love them. Built it into our IP rated cabinet. Probably a bit overkill being in the shed, but why not? Righto, so that is our Concordia off-grid setup. Like always, if you've got any questions, if you want to know any extra, chuck it in the comments. I'll try and reply. If you're in South Australia or anywhere in New South Wales, get in touch with us on our website. I'll link it below. Happy to give you a free quote, give you some helpful tips, anything you need. See you on the next one.